The throne room of Void Emperor Zalthan was a monument to fear. Black obsidian pillars stretched upward like the ribs of some long-dead leviathan, their surfaces etched with the names of conquered worlds. The air hummed with the low-frequency pulse of the dreadnought's core, the eclipsing maw, a 20-kilometer monstrosity that had crushed rebellions, glassed civilizations, and now orbited Earth like a vulture circling dying prey. Zalthan lounged on his throne, a jagged spire of void-forged metal that seemed to drink the light around it. His six-fingered hands rested on the armrests, claws tapping an impatient rhythm. Bioluminescent veins pulsed beneath his onyx skin, shifting from violet to blood red as the War Council's holograms flickered before him. "Hi!" Admiral Vorak stepped forward, his chitinous armor clicking with each movement. The Zepyrian warlord stood 3 meters tall, his 4 compound eyes reflecting the holographic projection of a blue-green planet, Earth. "Our scouts have finished their assessment," Vorak rasped, mandibles twitching in amusement. "The humans are exactly as weak as we predicted." A ripple of laughter echoed through the chamber. The Void Empire's elite, admirals with too many limbs, generals with too many teeth, leaned in as Vorak continued. "Their weapons?" He flicked a claw, and the hologram zoomed in on a pathetic orbital defense platform. Chemical-propelled slugs. Primitive lasers, they still use nuclear warheads like frightened children playing with fire. Zalthan's lips peeled back, revealing needle-thin fangs. "And their fleet? Non-existent." Vorak sneered. "A few hundred rusting patrol vessels. Their so-called United Earth Space Navy couldn't stop a pirate raid, let alone the might of the Void." The Emperor's bioluminescence flared crimson. "Then why," he mused, "did the Celestial Archives mark their system as forbidden?" Vorak shifted uncomfortably. "The archives are outdated, my Emperor. The Vorak haven't updated their warnings in millennia. The humans are soft, fractured. They've spent the last century fighting over scraps of their own planet while we built an empire." A new hologram flickered to life, Earth cities, sprawling and vulnerable. Zalthan watched as human transports flitted between them, slow and unarmed. "I stake my honor on it," Vorak growled. One fleet could burn their cities to ash before they even knew we were there." Zalthan's claws dug into the throne. The decision was already made. The War Council erupted in cheers. Orders flashed across the holograms, ship deployments, troop mobilizations, timetables. The Void's 7th Fleet, 200 warships strong, would jump to Sol within 72 hours. None noticed the flicker in the corner of the throne room. A single terminal, ancient and forgotten, hummed to life. The words scrolling across its cracked screen were in a language not spoken in 10,000 years. The Void Empire's laughter drowned out the silence. The Celestial Archives floated in dead space, a derelict megastructure the size of a moon. Its surface was pocked with meteor scars, its once gleaming silver hull now dull under the light of a dying red giant. The Void Empire's scout ship, the Whispering Blade, hovered before it like a gnat before a tomb. Inside the cockpit, Scout Commander Vexel adjusted his chitinous helmet. His 4 eyes narrowed at the scans. Some ancient data vault? His second-in-command, a junior Zepyrian named Crix, tapped nervously on the console. "The archives are forbidden, Commander. The Emperor's orders were clear," Vexel hissed. "The Emperor wants intel on humanity. If this rotting library has answers, we take them." The docking clamps engaged with a groan of protesting metal. As the boarding team stepped into the archives, their boots kicked up millennia of dust. The walls were lined with holographic projectors dead for centuries. Except one, a flickering blue light pulsed ahead. "Contact!" Crix whispered, his mandibles trembling. The light solidified into a towering figure, a Vorak, its form shifting between solid and static. Its voice crackled like a dying star. "Turn back, children of the Void. You tread where gods feared to linger." Vexel drew his plasma cutter. "Identify yourself." The Vorak's holographic face twisted into something like pity. "I am the last keeper of truths your empire burned. You seek knowledge of the Sol System's inhabitants. You will not like what you find." A console sparked to life nearby. Data stream scrolled too fast to read, but Crix caught fragments. Vexel scoffed. Primitive apes nuking themselves. This is what we feared. The Vorax's glow intensified. You misunderstand. They did not fall. They chose to burn, to test weapons even we could not comprehend. A blurred image resolved. A human dreadnought, its hull scorched but intact. The designation read, UESN Titan's Wrath. Crick's exoskeleton paled. Commander, that ship's armor. It's layered with neutronium weave. That's impossible. For you, the Vorak corrected. A stepping stone. Vexel slammed a fist on the console. Enough! Show me their current fleet strength. The hologram shifted. Earth's orbital defenses appeared. Pathetic platforms, outdated railguns. Crix exhaled in relief. See? They're still weak. The Vorax's laughter was the sound of shattering glass. Look closer. A shadow passed over the moon. For a fraction of a second, the scan glitched, revealing a 5 km-long silhouette docked in the lunar shipyards. Then the image corrected itself, as if something had erased the anomaly. Vexel's calm crackled. Commander! The Emperor demands your report. Do we glass the humans or not? He hesitated. The Vorak leaned in, its voice dropping to a whisper. The humans have a saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. Tell me, Commander, where do you think they hid the stick? Crix grabbed Vexel's arm. We should leave. This place is cursed. Vexel snarled and turned for the exit. Forget the archives. The Emperor was right. Earth's defenses are a joke. Cycle repeats. For cycle repeats. The humans are awake. The celestial archives, a shattered silver megastructure adrift in crimson starlight, its corridors lined with dead holograms. The Vorak AI, a towering, glitching blue specter with shifting facial features, its form barely stable. Data fragments, glowing red text floating in the air, soul purge, 12 billion casualties, R-Seal, hidden ship, a split-second glimpse of the UESN Titan's Wrath, its neutronium hull gleaming before the image corrupts. They did not fall. They chose to burn. The humans are awake. The stage is set for Section 3, where humanity's hidden fleet prepares to strike. The lunar shipyards didn't exist. At least, that's what Earth's public records claimed. The asteroid belt designated Gamma 9 was just another mining zone, its scans showing nothing but rock and ice. Even the Void Empire's scouts had flown past it twice, their sensors shrugging at the debris field. Admiral Lisa Hayes watched the lie unravel from her command perch. The false asteroid shell split open like an egg, revealing the UESN Defiance, a 5-kilometer spear of blackened steel and coiled railgun batteries. Work drones swarmed over its hull, welding the last armor plates into place. Their sparks cast flickering shadows across the cavernous dry dock, illuminating rows of identical skeletons, more dreadnoughts, half-built and hungry. Status, Lisa said. Her voice didn't echo. The lunar shipyards ate sound. Captain Ryan Blake stepped into the amber glow of the holotank, his scarred face lit from below. The jagged line running from cheek to collar was a souvenir from the Mars Rebellion, back when humanity still fought itself. Phase 3 complete. Defiance is combat ready. The Atlantic had just finished loading her drone swarm. He grinned, teeth sharp in the low light. Void Scouts still haven't noticed us. Lisa didn't smile. She tapped the holotank, pulling up a star map. Red icons pulsed near Pluto, Void picket ships creeping closer. They will. Below them, in the shipyard's belly, a crew of engineers in grease-stained jumpsuits gathered around something angular and wrong. The Black Star prototype hummed in its cradle, its matte black surface drinking the light. One engineer reached out. Don't! Snap Dr. Drone! Swarm! Chen slapping his hand away. That's not a tool, it's a predator. The Black Star twitched, its edges blurring for a second. Like it had heard, Ryan's boots rang on Defiance's deck as he strode toward the briefing room. The ship smelled like ozone and fresh paint. Crewmen saluted as he passed, their faces tight with the same tension had seen before the siege of Ceres. Young, too young. He paused at a viewport. Earth hung in the black, blue, and unguarded. The void thought it was looking at a lamb. Unguarded. The void thought it was looking at a lamb. Inside the briefing room, 30 hand-picked officers stood at attention. Ryan didn't sit. "The Void Empire's main fleet jumps in 12 hours, he said. "They'll hit Earth with everything." A lieutenant, Kowalski, fresh out of the academy, swallowed. "Sir, our orbital defenses can't stop that." Ryan activated the wall screen. Footage played, the Defiance's main railgun test firing. A tungsten round the size of a bus punched through 3 armored plates before detonating. The shockwave vaporized the lunar test range. "Good thing we're not using orbital defenses, range. Good thing we're not using orbital defenses," Ryan said. Lisa stood alone in the shipyard's observation blister, staring at the Defiance's main railgun test firing. The dreadnought's prow bristled with weapons the Void had never seen. Singularity lances, hard light shields, Black Star drones, all hidden, all waiting. A century ago, after the Third World War turned the Sahara to glass, humanity had made a choice. Never again. The public disarmament treaties, the fractured colonies, the pathetic-looking orbital platforms, all theater. The real fleets were built here. In the dark, her comm crackled. "Admiral," Ryan's voice. Cold seeped through her fingertips. "The Void Empire thinks we're prey." A pause. Then Ryan's chuckle, low and dangerous. "Let's remind them what humans do to predators." Outside, the UESN Atlantica slid from its dock, its stealth systems already active. The carrier vanished into the black, carrying its swarm of nightmares. Earth's trap was set. The lunar shipyards, a cavernous dry dock hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, lit by welding sparks and holograms. Half-built dreadnoughts loom in the shadows. UESN Defiance, a monstrous angular warship with a blackened hull, its railgun coils glowing faintly blue. Black Star drone, a sleek predatory shape that seems to absorb light, edges blurring unnaturally. Observation blister, Admiral Lisa Hayes silhouetted against Earth's glow, her reflection overlapping the Defiance's weapon arrays. The Void Fleet arrives in Section 4, expecting easy prey. Defiance is fully armed and waiting. Atlantica's drones are already hunting. The Void Empire arrived at Earth in a storm of twisted light. 200 warships tore through reality like claws ripping fabric, their obsidian hulls glistening with the blood-red glow of their plasma drives. The eclipsing maw led the armada, its kilometer-long spine bristling with gravity cannons. Below it, Earth's blue-green marble hung undefended, or so the Void thought. High Admiral Vorak's chitinous fingers flexed on his command throne. His compound eyes reflected the tactical display. Pathetic human orbital platforms spun lazily, their antique railguns barely charged. A handful of patrol ships, rusting UESN frigates, drifted like lost children. "Begin the broadcast," Vorak rasped. His communications officer, a sleek Zurian with silver scales, tapped a console. Across Earth's networks, Vorak's face appeared, a nightmare of black chitin and glowing violet eyes. "People of Earth," his voice was a blade dragged across bone, "your species has been judged unworthy of independence. Surrender within 1 hour or watch your cities burn. New York, Tokyo, Moscow." Screams filled the streets as the Void's ultimatum played on every screen. A child in London dropped her ice cream, staring at the sky where alien warships now outshone the stars. In Lunar Command, Admiral Lisa Hayes didn't flinch. "Status?" she asked, her voice calm. Captain Ryan Blake grinned, his scarred face lit by holograms. "All stations report ready. Defiance is hot. Black Star drones armed." A young ensign trembled at his console. "Admiral, their fleet is exactly where we want them," Lisa finished. She tapped her earpiece. "Atlantica, deploy Phase 1. Vorak watched as Earth's defenses scrambled. "Admiral, his sensor officer chirped. "Their orbital platforms are powering weapons." Vorak's mandibles clacked in laughter. "Burn them." The eclipsing Ma's gravity cannons hummed. Space itself warped as 6 platforms imploded into metal dust. Then the alarm screamed. Something big had just lit up on the dark side of the moon. The Void Fleet's laughter died in their throats. From the shadow of Luna, a shape emerged, a dagger of black steel 5 kilometers long. The UESN Defiance's hull shimmered as its cloaking field dropped, revealing rows of pulse cannons glowing hellish red. On the eclipsing Maz bridge, Vorak's claws dug into his throne. "What is that?" A human voice crackled over every Void channel. "This is Captain Ryan Blake of the United Earth Space Navy." A pause. "You got 1 minute to apologize." Vorak snarled. "All ships target that." A singularity round, a bullet containing a micro-black hole, punched through the lead Void cruiser. The ship folded inward like paper in a fist, then vanished in a flash of hawking radiation. Earth's civilian freighters suddenly exploded, not from void fire but by design. Hull plating blasted away, revealing railgun batteries. A mining barge split open like an egg, unleashing a swarm of Black Star drones that latched onto void shields and ate them. Vorak's tactical screen flashed crimson. "Impossible! Their weapons, they match ours!" His science officer trembled. "Admiral, their energy signatures, they're not primitive. There!" A proximity alert howled. 3 more human signatures blinked into existence behind the Void Fleet. Then 10, then 50. Ryan Blake's face reappeared on screen, his smile sharp as a knife. The Void flagship's bridge shuddered as another explosion rocked its starboard side. Admiral Vorak's chitinous claws dug into the command console, his 4 eyes narrowing at the tactical display. That's all they had faced at first. The UESN Defiance, rising from Luna's shadow like some ancient specter of war. Its railguns had torn through 3 of his dreadnoughts before the Void Fleet could recalibrate their shields. Now, the Defiance hung in the void before them, its armored hull scarred but unbroken. Behind it, Earth's blue glow cast long shadows across its gun batteries. Vorak's second in command, a wiry tactician named Zektal, hissed through his mandibles. "Their weapons, they shouldn't be this advanced. Our scans showed nothing." Vorak didn't answer. His gaze locked onto the Defiance's bridge, visible through the enhanced optics of the view screen. A human female stood there, her uniform crisp, her expression ice. Admiral Lisa Hayes. Or expression ice. Space rippled, 100 points of light flaring into existence, then 200, then 3. Not the blocky, primitive designs the Void Empire scouts had documented over decades of observation. These were monsters, sleek, angular, their hulls etched with the sigil of the United Earth Stellar Navy, the UESN Atlantica, its stealth plating retracting to reveal rows of launch bays, the UESN Titan's Wrath, its spinal-mounted cannon humming with barely contained energy, the UESN Dawnbreaker, flanked by a swarm of drones that moved like living shadows. And more, so many more! Vorak's throat tightened. This is impossible! A transmission cut through the static. Lisa Hayes' voice calm as a surgeon's blade. "Admiral Vorak, you came to conquer a weak world." The view screen flickered. A holographic projection of Earth's solar system appeared, but not as the Void Empire knew it. Hidden shipyards orbiting Saturn, weapons platforms disguised as asteroids in the Kuiper Belt. A network of stealth outposts stretching from Mercury to Pluto. "Instead," Hayes continued, "you found a graveyard. The Defiance's main cannon, a weapon the Void had no record of, powered up. A swirling vortex of black and violet energy gathered at its tip, warping space around it." Zektal's voice cracked. "Singularity readings!" They've harnessed. A beam of distorted reality lanced out, striking a Void battleship dead center. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the ship imploded, its hull crumpling like paper in a fist. The singularity swallowed it whole, leaving only a fading distortion in space. Silence gripped the bridge, then the rest of Earth's fleet opened fire. The reveal, 300 human warships decloak, surrounding the Void fleet. The Singularity. Lance, a black hole weapon, erases a Void dreadnought in seconds. Lisa's broadcast, her icy monologue as the trap springs shut. Vorak's realization, the archives were right. Humanity had always been dangerous. The Defiance's Singularity cannon firing. Earth's hidden fleet emerging. Vorak's face on the bridge. The holographic map of Earth's secret defenses. A mistake. Human weapons officer. All batteries locked. They're not leaving this system. Cycle repeats. The humans are awake. The Void. Emperor's panic as his fleet is annihilated. Ryan Blake's infamous spite monologue. The Atlantica's drones hacking Void systems. The Void Emperor's flagship trembled as another explosion rocked its starboard side. On the bridge of the eclipsing maw, Zalthan's bioluminescent veins pulsed crimson, a Zapirian sign of rage. His claws dug into the obsidian command throne as holograms flickered, showing the impossible. 300 human warships, not the scattered primitive vessels his scouts had reported, not the fragile orbital platforms his fleet had vaporized minutes ago. These were monsters, kilometers of armored hulls, weapons humming with power signatures that should not exist. And at their center, the UESN Defiance, its blackened prow scarred from battle but unbroken. A channel opened. Static hissed. Then the voice was human, male, calm in a way that made Zolthan's chitin prickle. On screen, a face resolved, sharp jawline, a scar cutting through stubble, eyes like a predator who'd just spotted prey stepping into its den. Zalthan snarled, mandibles flaring. "You dare address an Emperor, Sofkin!" Blake didn't blink. Behind him, the Defiance's bridge crew worked in silence, their hands flying across holographic controls. One screen showed the Atlantica's drone swarm dismantling a Void frigate like carrion bird stripping flesh. A flick of his hand, the view shifted, Earth glowing blue and green. Then, older footage, much older. A wasteland, cities in ruins, a sky choked with ash. The footage changed again, ancient schematics of orbital platforms glassing continents. Of wars so brutal they'd forced humanity to nearly erase its own history. Zalthan's second in command, Vorak, hissed, "Lies. No species survives that." Like's smile didn't reach his eyes. "We didn't just survive. We learned." The holograms vanished. The Defiance's main cannon, a weapon the Void scientists had dismissed as primitive kinetic artillery, hummed to life. Space warped around its barrel, light bending like water down a drain. A Singularity ripped through space, swallowing a Void dreadnought whole. No explosion, no debris, just gone. 100 weapons charged at once. Zalthan's throne room shook as alarms wailed. His holographic tactical display collapsed, systems overloading from the sheer number of targeting solutions now painting his fleet. Blake leaned forward, his face filling the screen. "You wanted a lesson in strength?" "Class is in session." On the eclipsing Maw's bridge, Vorak turned to his Emperor, his chitin paling to ashen gray. "Orders?" Zalthan's claws flexed. For the first time in his reign, the Void Emperor hesitated. Outside the viewports, human ships moved, not in retreat but in perfect predatory formation. The Void Empire's fleet hung in space like a swarm of locusts, their obsidian hulls drinking in the light of distant stars. Admiral Vorak's flagship, the eclipsing Maw, loomed at the center, its spined prow still glowing from the molten remains of Earth's decoy orbital platforms. On the bridge of the UESN Defiance, Captain Ryan Blake cracked his knuckles. The Void fleet had laughed when Defiance rose from the lunar shadow. "One ship against an empire," they'd sneered over open comms. Their laughter died when Defiance's first salvo punched through a dreadnought's shields like paper and turned its core into a miniature sun. Now, the real dance began. From behind the moon, from the asteroid belt, from the dark side of Mars, human ships blinked into existence. Not the scattered, rusted hulls the Void Scouts had reported. Not the pathetic orbital platforms. 300 warships, sleek, silent, hungry. The Void fleet's formation shuddered as tactical displays updated. Admiral Vorak's chitinous faceplates twitched. Impossible. Where did? Along the flanks of the human fleet, massive cannons hummed to life. The air around them warped, light bending like taffy as artificial black holes formed at their muzzles. Then, release. A dozen void cruisers simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris, just perfect spheres of nothingness where ships had been, their edges glowing with hawking radiation. Vorak's claws dug into his command throne. Shields at maximum. All batteries target there. Above. The eclipsing maw, the UESN Atlanticus stealth field dropped like a curtain. The carrier's belly yawned open, releasing a swarm of Black Star drones, tiny, insectoid machines that latched onto void shields and ate them, their fractal jaws chewing through energy matrices like termites through wood. Vorak snarled. Ram them, full speed at the Defiance through wood. The eclipsing maw's engines flared violet, the dreadnought lurching forward like a wounded beast. On Defiance's bridge, alarms blared. "Impact in 10 seconds, a crewman shouted. Ryan Blake didn't flinch. "Activate hard light barrier." A heartbeat before collision, space rippled. A honeycomb lattice of pure energy snapped into existence around Defiance, glowing in eerie blue. The eclipsing maw struck it at full speed. The impact didn't even rock Defiance's teacups. The void flagship's prow crumpled like foil, its spine fracturing under the strain. Atmosphere vented in frozen geysers as internal explosions walked down its length. Vorak was thrown from his throne, his exoskeleton cracking against a console. He stared at the viewscreen, at the unharmed human ship, at the mockery of physics between them. "Hard light!" he rasped. "That's Vorak tech! How do humans—" Lisa Hayes' face appeared on every void screen. Her smile was colder than the void between galaxies. "You came to conquer a weak world," she said. "Instead, you found a graveyard." Then the singularity lances fired again. Space folded. Reality screamed. When the distortion cleared, half the void flagship was simply gone, severed cleanly as if by a god's knife. The remaining half spun wildly, trailing fire and corpses. Across the battlefield, void ships broke formation. Some fled, some fired blindly. None escaped. The UESN Defiance's railguns cycled with mechanical precision, each shot culling another vessel. The Phoenix drones, self-replicating horrors that rebuilt themselves from enemy wreckage, swarmed like angry stars, dismantling void fighters mid-flight. On what remained of the eclipsing maw's bridge, Vorak dragged himself upright. His blood, thick and iridescent, pooled on the deck. His comms crackled with the screams of dying crews. The human fleet had stopped firing, not because they couldn't continue, because the Void Empire had nothing left to shoot at. Ryan Blake leaned back in his chair, watching the last Void engine sputter into the dark. "Well," he mused, "that was fun." Somewhere in the ruins of the Celestial Archives, a Vorak AI stirred. Its holographic eyes flickered with something like dread. "Cycle repeats," it whispered to the empty dark. "The humans are awake." 1. Singularity. Lance firing, space bending into a black hole, void ships being erased in perfect spheres. 2. Hard light barrier impact, the eclipsing maw crumpling against a glowing blue honeycomb shield. 3. Phoenix drones swarming, metallic insectoids with fractal jaws tearing apart, void fighters. 4. Vorak's last stand, broken chitin, iridescent blood, a shattered viewscreen showing human victory. 5. Vorak AI awakening, glowing hologram in a dead archive, whispering to the dark. Void fleet annihilated, human tech superiority revealed. Vorak warning sets up galactic-scale consequences. The Void Empire's broken fleet scattered like embers from a dying fire. Their once proud dreadnoughts, now scarred and venting plasma, limped toward the system's edge. The eclipsing maw was a gutted carcass, its obsidian spires cracked open, bioluminescent fluids leaking into the void. Admiral Lisa Hayes watched the retreat from Earth Command's orbital spire, her reflection ghostly in the reinforced glass. The holographic display painted her face in cold blue as it tracked the last void signatures fleeing past Jupiter. "They're running," murmured Captain Cho at the tactical station. His fingers hovered over the weapons array. We could end them now. Lisa didn't blink. Let them go. Captain Ryan Blake's face flickered onto a comms panel, his grin sharp enough to cut. Lisa allowed herself a thin smile. They'll deliver the message for us. The Void flagship's bridge was a tomb of flickering screens and dying lights. Admiral Vorak clutched a leaking wound in his chitinous chest, his four eyes dimming. Around him, Zepyrian crewmates lay slumped over consoles, their exoskeletons cracked from the Defiance's final broadside. A hologram of Emperor Zalthan sputtered into existence, his bioluminescent markings pulsing erratic crimson. You failed, the Emperor hissed. One primitive world. Vorak coughed black fluid. Primitive? He gestured weakly to the viewport. Outside, the UESN Atlantica drifted past, its stealth plating retracted to reveal rows of dormant Phoenix drones. Behind it, 300 more human warships held formation, their railgun batteries still humming with residual charge. They let us think we were winning, Vorak rasped. The Emperor's image froze, then dissolved into static as the eclipsing Maw's core went critical. Ryan's voice crackled over the speakers, his tone shifting to something darker. Lisa! We're picking up a transmission from the edge of the system, encrypted in Old Earth code! She stiffened. Play it! The command center's lights dimmed as a new hologram materialized, an angular, alien construct of shifting silver polygons. The Vorak AI, its voice was the sound of glaciers splitting. A fleet of ancient human warships, their designs eerily similar to the Defiance. A date stamp, 2187 AD. The Soul Purge was not your first war, the AI intoned, nor your last. The humans are awake. Silence. Then Ryan laughed, low and dangerous. Now they know. Let's see if the rest of the galaxy's smart enough to learn from their mistake. Lisa turned back to the viewport. Beyond the glass, Earth glowed, a blue marble wrapped in the skeletal frames of new shipyards already under construction. Somewhere in the dark, the Vorak AI watched. And waited. One, broken void fleet, smoldering dreadnoughts fleeing past Jupiter's storms. 2. Earth Command Spire, glass-walled orbital station with holographic battle maps. 3. Vorak's last stand, dying Zepyrian admiral on a ruined bridge. 4. Vorak AI, hologram, silver polygonal entity glitching in midair. 5. Hidden shipyards, half-built warships in lunar shadow. They'll deliver the message for us. The humans are awake. Ryan's grin. Now they know. Vorak AI's warning implies older human wars, new shipyards, bigger fleet. Galaxy now aware humanity pretended to be weak.